Oh, attackers, go on. Joe Andrade. What a goal.
And again, Gabby Fernando on the 6-yard line. 99th minute. 9 minutes of injury time, and Gabby has won it for Stretford Paddock.
Shot on goal. Oh! Wow!
And that is that. Stretford Paddock, first piece of silverware. Tony Downs Memorial Trophy.
Hello and welcome back to the Stretford Paddock Fans Podcast. We're here once again to chat about all things Stretford Paddock and give you the inside scoop on our journey through Cheshire League Division 1. I'm joined this week by two voices you'll know very well. It's hello from Stu.
Hello everybody, up the paddock.
And the Italian Stallion is back. It's hello from Notch.
Howdy everybody.
All right, let's dive straight into it. In part 2, we're going to be joined by first team player and Paddock OG, Cam Waters. So make sure you stick around for that. But first up, in part 1, we're going to break down our home game against St Helens Town. We're going to share our favourite moments from Members' Day, and we're going to look ahead to what's coming up for Paddock in October. Right, gents, let's start with the St Helens game. All three of us were there. All three of us got soaked, especially Notch. But more importantly, it was Stretford Paddock 3, St Helens Town 0, another massive 3 points for the Paddock. Stu, what did you make of the game?
Where do you start? It had pretty much everything you wanted from an absolute sodden, typical Saturday afternoon football game, didn't it? Other than being on a grass pitch, it had everything. I genuinely don't know where to start, Chris, with it all. So much happened.
Well, in a nutshell, we had 2 penalties, a red card. Sam Pratt got his 10th goal of the season. There was a fight. Someone got thrown in the dugout. That's just what happened on the pitch. So, yeah, it was one hell of a game.
I mean, I think it's good to start with, who did start. I mean, we knew that St Helens keeper was in question, had a concussion the week before. He thankfully was okay, so he got to play. So good to hear that he didn't have anything more serious than a concussion to get over. So I heard it was a pretty nasty knock the week before. So shout out to him for recovering in time for the match. We know that their striker was absent, didn't we? Didn't know who was going to start up front for them, but that started off being Liam Diggle, didn't it? So there was some selection headaches there for St Helens from what we're led to believe. But it was, like you say, from a Paddock perspective, a strong squad start, didn't it? But we were still missing some notable players in people like Damani.
Notch, do you concur with that?
Yeah, pretty much. We've had players out since the start of the season. And I think what we've proved so far is we're able to cope with that so long as we don't lose too many players. We've got enough quality. We've got enough depth. So people can slot in and do a job. And I think that showed. Costa was great. It was great to see him back in place of Damani, and he had a really, really good game. Still, needs to find his feet a little bit in terms of match fitness, but that's to be expected. I thought Keoden and Michael were absolute rock in the centre of defence, and they were able to bring us further forward into midfield with a lot of solidity, which I think helped a lot because, the St Helens were trying to find space in behind. And I think overall we did well to prevent too much of that. And then you have the penalty save from Florin, who, he's been an absolute revelation since he came into the team.
What did you think to that penalty decision?
I was too far away to really see it properly.
Was for me all day.
Both of them, to be honest. Yeah, it was one of those. If I was able to see a replay of it, which we will once we get the VO back, it would be easier to say. It was more a case of what happened as a result of the penalty, which was a really good save. And we managed to convert ours because Joe is mint.
Yeah, to be fair to Liam Diggle, who missed the penalty, it wasn't a terrible strike. Like he got power on it, he got it on target, but it was just a very good save from Florin, who picked the right way. But it was a stonewaller for me. Like I was stood with a pretty decent view, and it looked to me like Michael took his eye off the ball, and a guy ran by him and tripped over Michael. Um, Craig Helston, who was stood next to me, was vehemently denying it was a penalty. But I think in the clubhouse afterwards, I think Dion said to me, it was bad defending from Michael. It was definitely a penalty, but yeah, they didn't take the chance. But for me, that was a defining moment of the game because I thought Paddock were very comfortable for the first 30 minutes or so. And then out of nowhere, well, actually, we took the lead after about 10 minutes from a Cam goal, who will be on in part two, talk about it. They got a penalty out of nothing. And even though they missed the penalty, St Helens, they were the better side after the penalty miss going into half time. But they just didn't carry that on second half. And Paddock just controlled the second half. And let's just say St Helens supporters were somewhat critical of the referee, but he wasn't great for them. They could have played that game 100 times with 100 referees and they weren't winning that game. They just weren't up to the right level that day. They weren't good enough. Is that fair? Fair assessment?
Yeah, I think so. From my side of things, you mentioned about playing the game 100 times, different refs were never going to win it. I won't name names, but their own supporters were, coming into the game hoping it would just be a close game at the end of the day. Maybe they might be able to snatch a point or something, but they were trying to be realistic about their chances, which was a breath of fresh air considering, the way that they entered the season, pushing for promotion. We're going to promote, maybe even challenge for the title, this, that, and the other. And now they're coming to hide, just hoping to scrape a draw, maybe. So I think, in fairness to them, they had an air of realism about their chances on the day. But what do you think, Notch?
I think in terms of the ref, look, he didn't need to give them a penalty. So if they're going to complain, I was hearing one or two fans kind of suggest that the ref was just giving everything to us, and I didn't see that myself. He was giving them free kicks. He gave them their penalty. So it was all a bit, it was one of those banter performances from both sets of fans, if you like, because their small set of fans were there, but they were very partisan. But we can be, we can compete with that, and I didn't see there was anything wrong with the refereeing performance at all. In fact, he had a very difficult job, with the set two later on, with the players ganging up on each other. So it's never easy for him.
I love that about playing St Helens, though, the fact that they bring fans. I think they brought more last time. Maybe it was just the team's not in form, and well, last time they brought a bus, didn't they, in a drum? But team weren't in form. It was raining, all that stuff. But yeah, when you play St Helens in the Cheshire League, you feel like you're actually playing 3 leagues higher because they bring fans and there's a bit more of a support there. But they were good fun. They were giving shit to us for what were they saying? Stretford Paddock got more cameras than fans, something like that. But yeah, we bit back because we said they had more flags than points. So yeah, they have to give it, they have to take it.
They do take it, to be fair. They're a good fan base. Just to come back to the match, I know we've talked about that penalty for Liam Diggle. Had Liam Diggle converted that penalty, take it to 1-1, might have been a completely different dynamic in the game. Didn't, and we moved on, didn't we, to make it. Did it go 1-1 then 2-1? Or did we go 2-0 then 2-1?
Well, they didn't score, so yeah.
Oh, so I'm thinking of the wrong match here, aren't I?
We went 1-0 up. They missed. They got given the penalty and missed.
Yeah.
And then Sam made it 2 in the second half.
Yeah, and then Joe had a penalty about a minute later to make it 3, and then the game over.
What we talk about St Helens not getting the corners. What about that? I still can't make head nor tails in the second half. So their striker got played through on goal. Michael Olatunji or KO'd, whichever one was behind him, really trying to keep up with him, delay him. The striker got the opportunity to get the shot away, missed, but then the ref pulled it back for a free kick. Can you remember that? I
Yeah,
still can't get my head around why.
I was debating whether I even bring this up because it's so confusing to me. Like, yeah, exactly what you said happened. And in my mind, he had a shot and he missed. But then obviously I look at it with my red, white, and black shaded glasses on. The guy next to me in the baseball cap from St Helens is furious. Like he's saying it's a red card and Michael should have been sent off. I don't understand what's going on. And then I read the St Helens local newspaper saying that they hit the post. And I'm like, I missed that as well. So I'm like, I literally, in my mind, two guys ran for the ball on the edge of the box. The guy had a shot, it went wide, and then he got pushed over kind of in the post shot come to. Yeah, I don't know how I saw that so differently to, their fans. But Michael got booked, so he must have done something wrong.
I missed most of that.
That
I can't remember that incident, to be honest.
they were
They
like
had
furious about it. I just couldn't see what was wrong.
I couldn't either. It's a classic centre back trying to tussle for the ball. There wasn't anything all that wrong with it, but the ref let it go for about, must have been a good 8 to 10 seconds, mustn't it? Which is quite a long time in football for the striker to get his shot away and see what happened. And he was so the debate we had on the sideline was, well, had that shot gone in and been a goal, would he have allowed that? Of course he would.
Yeah.
So why is he pulling it back for the free kick? We couldn't wrap our heads around it. So if anybody wants to add a comment to the pod in Spotify or whatever and tell us what we're missing here, then feel free to do so.
No, we didn't have the cameras that day, so I would have been sad enough to go and watch it back. But in my eyes, it wasn't even a foul, and in the other team's eyes, it was a straight red. So it's somewhere in the middle of that. Which maybe the ref got it right, maybe it was a yellow.
Well, you bring us to it, straight red. In the second half, of course, young Kiefer comes on, does what he does best. He ties people up in knots, and eventually I think it was the fullback that he was really given a hard time got subbed off, and it was on the bench, sat in the dugout, and Kiefer ended up nearby, having again been tying people up in knots, and he was literally pulled into the dugout, wasn't he, by the St Helens players. Then when he tried to get out, he was tugged back in again, which set it lit the touch paper, and we saw that scuffle and things happening. So what did you think of that?
Shall I go? Because I'll be honest, I didn't see anything like from where we were stood. The only reason I even know what happened is because of all the photos we've had post-match. But for me, I was stood on the side and I thought, oh, there's a 22-man brawl. Why is Ronaldo over there? He's not even in the squad. And he was right in the middle of it. I assumed he caused it. So I just completely blamed Ronaldo for no reason. Just because his prior, he's a hothead. He's in the middle of a scrap. I just thought it was his fault. But no, in hindsight, it seems one of the St Helens players grabbed Kiefer's shirt and dragged him into the dugout. One of their subs, I think it was. Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that sparked a brawl. So yeah, I only know that because of the, being told afterwards.
It was hard to make out anything real time. I'm only going on from what you've been told since then. All I know is that it would have, if we did have the cameras, it would have looked absolutely brilliant on YouTube.
Yeah, to be fair, there's some pictures of Kiefer being dragged, and you can see his collar's just like stretched, about to like snap as he's like collared into the dugout. But was that why he was sent off, or was he sent off for something else later on?
I'm not sure.
So I didn't even see the red card.
Oh,
we're doing well in this pod. We didn't see anything.
no.
Honestly, you need a prawn sandwich fan like me to watch it on the cameras because we actually see what happens.
I didn't even know there's a red. I didn't know there was a red. I looked on social media afterwards, and it was on the St Helens social media. Red card given to whoever it was, and I never even saw it come out.
No, I didn't. It must have happened in that brawl. There must have been too much going on, and we just missed it.
Surely.
Maybe if any of the players go on the chat later on, and maybe they might know something.
Yeah, one thing we did see, which is worth mentioning, guys, is Sam Pratt, 10th goal of the season. So that's 10 in 10 now for.
Wow.
And not number nine. He's done really well this season, and he also picked up man of the match as well. So, and he didn't kill Liam after the game either, which is really nice of him.
Didn't see much of Liam after the game, funnily enough.
He kept that rain jacket pulled up even indoors, I think.
Well, Sam got 10 out of 10. I got 10 out of 10 watching games.
Yeah.
It all worked out, didn't it?
Yeah. So what's that? 10 appearances in a row, Notch, where you've watched the Paddock win.
Yes. So big milestone. That's the main thing I was taking away about the Members' Day, because it was brilliant to see everybody. Obviously, I was wearing a rain jacket that felt more like wearing a jumper. So I got absolutely drenched. But I was asked to go in the changing room after the game to have a chat with the players. As I guess as a reward for coming up 10 times and seeing 10 Paddock victories. I personally kind of wasn't sure if I wanted to do that. As I reiterated to the players myself, yes, I make sacrifices and I come up and I spend a lot of money, but I do it because I love it, and no other motive really. And I also stressed how I'm not more important than any other fan or any other person involved with the football club. You know, I'm just somebody that loves to come along when I can, from fairly far away. Not as far away as some fans that have been absolutely incredible what they've done. But that's not to take away. That's not to take away from anybody that hasn't done it yet. So I said, look, you know, we're the royal we, and this is the big thing about this club, and this is what makes me more motivated to support, because everyone is as important as each other.
You do come pretty far, Notch, because Saul said you live in Cornwall, which is a complete lie.
That's right. Yeah, we have to keep making sure he knows I'm in Cornwall, and don't say anything else. That's 400 miles or something rather than 200.
I like the concept though. It's like your coffee loyalty card. On your 10th visit to the Paddock, you get to go into the changing room and give the lads a pep talk.
Yeah, basically.
What did you say to them then, Notch? What were your words of wisdom?
Basically what I've just reiterated, you know, that I'm not more important than anybody else. That I'm, you know, yes, it's fantastic that I've watched them win 10 times, but they, you know, I stress that, you know, we're there supporting because they're there giving their all on the pitch. And, you know, while it's important that we continue supporting if they're not producing, the fact is, I think we bounce off each other. Our support, their efforts to, you know, their motivation, their mentality this year. I think it all adds up. So, you know, I said, look, just keep doing what you're doing. We'll keep doing what we're doing, and up the Paddock, you know.
I think they might have just took you in there to keep warm, Notch, to be honest, because I saw you when you arrived and you were saying how wet you were. And I just kind of looked at you and was like, all right, mate, well, you know, we're all wet. It's no big deal. And then you took your backpack off and I saw what color your jacket actually was under the backpack. And basically your whole coat was just drowned.
Honestly, like I say, it was like where I might as well have just worn a jumper and have the water soaked through. It was, you know, I now have a brand new raincoat, and the other one is being consigned to the bin.
You say it might still be wet.
Yeah, probably is.
Well, you brought up Members' Day, Not, so we'll get stuck into that. And Stu's pretty much the mastermind behind Members' Day. So, Stu, how did it go from your side? Was it everything you expected? Were there any unforeseen hitches to the day, or were you overall pretty happy?
No, overall pretty happy. I think the obvious improvement in the future would be the weather. But I think everyone just made the day what it was. You know, sod the weather, enjoy coming together as one big Paddock community. Support the lads and the club, and just enjoy, you know, being together. And yeah, I think it was one great big success. We had people turning up, you know, an hour and a half before the match, maybe 2 hours before the match, enjoying watching the Hyde Football Club youngsters playing football on the pitch beforehand. Then we start having a bit of a social, getting the beers in, turned the whole clubhouse into a Paddock clubhouse for the day with flags and everything, and the food bank the food bank collection in the back wall. We had the banquet being set up as well, and everyone just having a fantastic day.
Let's talk about the food bank situation before we crack on to the rest of Members Day, because that was the first time we've done something like that. So maybe for those, because I brought up some tins of whatever, beans, spam, whatever, but we were told to bring like non-perishable items up to give to was it Thameside East Food Bank? Stu, you know the story better than I do, so maybe fill everyone in.
Yeah, so I think the original inspiration came from well, I got inspired by I think on one of Steve Howson's videos he mentioned that we might potentially extend our stay with Hyde for another couple of seasons after this one. So I thought, well, that's 3 more years. So why not start making some genuine roots within the community and start reaching out to organisations, people around the area. And I thought, well, why not start now and start by supporting a fantastic cause like Thameside East Food Bank. There's a few, sadly and unfortunately, with the realisms of what is going on in today's economy in the country, there's quite a lot of food banks around. So I thought that there's going to be families in need. I'd heard that the food banks were sadly getting a bit short on their supplies. So yeah, decided to make Thameside East Food Bank our efforts for the day, and just a massive thank you to every single person. There was people coming in with bags and bags and bags of shopping to hand over, and we ended up with 12 bags of shopping, which Thameside East have extended their heartfelt thanks to the whole member base for the support of their organisation. So thank you.
Yeah, and thanks to you, Stu, because you organised all of that and set all of the the links up, and you did all the planning, and you checked everything except what time the food banks are open on a Saturday. So
That's it.
what was that story?
Yeah, no, I ended up with it doesn't sound like much, 12 bags, but for anyone who don't know, I drive a small Suzuki Swift which houses all the flags and everything as well. So it's a bit of a squeeze trying to get all those bags in there, and they sat in my car for a few days, so I was able to venture back over to Thameside and deliver. But look, it was they're really thankful. And when I walked into the actual unit on the industrial estate, I was actually shocked with how empty it was. They were really appreciative, and hopefully we can do something similar in the future.
All right, Notch, and how did you find this Members Day compared to the previous one?
Yeah, obviously the weather played a massive part, which I have a feeling we would have had a lot more members turn up. But as it turned out, still quite a lot turned up, which was good. But I think we could have had a lot more. Yeah, it was one of those days. But I think the food bank idea is testament to Stu's commitment as the fan rep, thinking of ideas, thinking of what we can do to be productive. And I'm so glad a lot of people, even I decided, I was able to bring stuff up all the way down from where I live in Cornwall. And yeah, really impressed that a lot of people stayed behind to get together, watch the United game afterwards. Good atmosphere for that. The food spread that the clubhouse put on as well, absolutely many thanks to them. That came in very handy. It was great to show everyone how much I eat pasta. Unsurprisingly, yeah, it was a great event in the end, despite the weather, because it did did continue to be horrible for the rest of the day. So yeah, big thanks to everybody that made the effort to turn up.
Was there 100 people there, Stu, in the end?
No, you're right. Yeah, nearly 100 people there on the day, which is obviously incredible at this level.
Yeah. How many of them were St Helens? Did you count that? They bring quite a lot, don't they?
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah, I counted St Helens as well. I think they probably made up 30 odd or so, I reckon.
I wonder how many from St Helens stayed behind for the clubhouse.
There were a few, to be fair. I had a chap, I can't remember, I didn't get his name, but there was some official from St Helens. I think, Stu, you were in the same conversation, but they were talking about their kind of trials and tribulations of trying to secure a stadium to play in. And we were kind of saying, yeah, we know how you feel. We're kind of in the same boat. So, yeah, do you know who that was, Stu?
Yeah, it was the St Helens chairman. Lovely
Oh,
bloke.
right.
Always up for a
Okay.
pint and a chat. Yeah, yeah.
Tell you what shocked me
Nice.
about that in the clubhouse afterwards, because obviously the origins of Stretford Paddock are the Man United fan channel. So I don't know why, but in my head, the Paddock team would always be full of like die-hard Reds that would love to play for the Paddock. And then I found out a few weeks ago that Sam Pratt, our top scorer, is a City fan. And I was like, it kind of shattered my illusions that it's just a team full of Reds. And I think who was it? The Chelsea player got sent off, didn't he, after about 2 minutes of the United game? And a few of the lads were like jumping up and furious. They're like, because they wanted Chelsea to win. So I need to know who supports who in this team.
There's one very famous Paddock footballer that supports Chelsea.
Yeah.
I won't say anything right now. You'll find out.
In part two.
Possibly. I knew that there's a lot of footballers at the club that support different teams. A lot of staff do. The first, assistant coach to Steve is a die-hard Liverpool fan. And that to me set the tone in terms of it didn't matter who you support. It doesn't matter what ground you come from or football persuasion you come from. This is about supporting a really, really good football team, and I think everyone plays their part with that.
Right, so that wrapped up our September, where we were very briefly again top of the league before the rest of the teams caught up and played their games. So, as it stands, we go into October, second place, back behind Dayton, who Notch tipped for the title in pre-season. So, well done, Notch. They have played 2 games more than us, but we will see where this pans out by the end of October, where we have some tricky games. As it stands, we have league games against Sandbach at home, Knutsford away, and Claybrow at home, which are 3 very strange fixtures because we've already played Claybrow and we've already played Knutsford, and there's still, 5 or 6 teams we haven't played yet. But I think that's a really tough set of fixtures again. So we had a relatively generous August. We've had a bloody hard September playing all the top sides, and we've come out of that with a really good return of points. We're going to have our work cut out again in October, so we'll see what we're made of. Guys, Sandbach, Knutsford, Claybrow, how many points are we getting from those 3?
I'll be delighted if we get, maybe 7. You're absolutely right. I think this is a very tough set of fixtures. I'm particularly nervous about Claybrow because we got ourselves a really, really hard fought, excellent 1-0 win against them already. But just look at that goal difference. They can obviously be potent in their games. I presume that they've not, I don't know how many games they've played against the top sides at the moment, because we're now at the point where it's starting to take shape as to who's going to be fighting for promotion.
Yeah.
And so I think Claybrow is going to be a very, very tough game, and I wouldn't underestimate Sandbach either. Because it seems to be a bit unpredictable with them. They've drawn a lot of games, but they've only lost 1. Their goal difference, considering it's their win-loss draw record, is +7, which is actually quite decent. Even though they're just mid-table, but I think that could be tricky. And Knutsford we've already just played recently, and they gave us a game, so we know what to expect from them.
I'm worried about Knutsford more than Claybrow. I know a lot of people will be backing Claybrow, but it's just being away from home. I always feel confident at home, at Hyde. But I feel like Knutsford away is going to be a really tough game because they were in incredible form. I think they won 7 in a row. They played Paddock. We edged them 2-1 midweek. And then they've won again twice since. So that, they haven't fallen off by any means. So I'm worried about that one. So, yeah. And Claybrow, as we know, are formidable teams. And both of those sides drew 1-1 at the weekend. So, we've got a tough October. Stu, you'd take 7 points, surely. I definitely would.
I'll take 9 points, Chris. Yeah, I'll take 9 points. Is Sandbach at home or away?
Home.
Home. So I think I favour us to get those wins. I know We all know what Claybrow offer. We won't go there again. We've talked about Claybrow constantly, but Notch is absolutely right to be concerned about Sandbach. Um, they're mid-table, which isn't terrible in this league. Let's be honest. They've scored 19 and I think conceded 12. So there's obviously a root cause to why they're drawing so many. But they haven't, from my knowledge, got any potent strikers, but they know how to obviously grind out the draws. So we need to make sure that against these sorts of teams that we go out there to win. And I've said it many times, but we've just got to be fearless. We've got to be confident. We are actually in this title challenge, and at the very least, we're in the promotion hunt and in a shout for that. And we're steadily becoming, favourites for being right up there to challenge. So we need to believe in ourselves now, and that we can go ahead and do this and keep up this run of form. And we need to start off by getting that win against Sandbach. Knutsford away, it'll be a different beast because I think they'll have a couple of players available to them that weren't available during that midweek away trip to Hyde against us, which they lost. And they put up a decent fight in that match as well. So, and they weren't terrible by any means. So Knutsford will be a good scrap, but then, and we know all about Claybrow. Like I said, I don't need to go there again. So for me, get all 9 points.
Yeah, I think if we can stay unbeaten, especially against Knutsford and Claybrow, that's a good haul as a minimum, but need to beat Sandbach, I think.
Yeah.
I was going to wrap this part up by talking about the weekend's game, but I don't have any conclusive information to share with the listeners because we're in a bit of limbo as to what's going on. So we were supposed to have a cup game that's been postponed due to being in the wrong cup competition, as far as I'm aware. And the league are considering giving us a league game, but we don't know where it stands right now. So I'd rather not give any false information, but keep your eye on the socials. I'm sure the club will communicate when we know we have a game or not. But that's it for part 1, guys. So we'll leave that there and we will see you in part 2, where we'll be joined by Paddock player Cam Waters.